another episode of Our Not So Simple Lives podcast. And today we are joined by a guest host, Aaron. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And this is super exciting because Aaron is part of this movement where he's trying to bring the film and entertainment industry down to San Diego. So you're creating the Chula Vista Entertainment Center. So talk us through that process. How did that look like for you, like going about trying to do this movement?
Yeah, so the Chula Vista Entertainment Complex has been really a kind of a long dream that I've had. It only kind of became the Chula Vista part within the last couple of years. But so I'm native born in San Diego, so I'm from here. I'm also born kind of almost into the film industry. My dad ran a commercial production company, so I've been on film sets since I was 8 years old. But San Diego, if you both don't know, we had a film studio here from about the early 90s to the mid 2000s. And we did a lot of work. We were a pretty busy town with film and TV. And once that place sort of closed up around 2007, 2008, we basically lost all of that work. We didn't have the physical infrastructure, the building to kind of support film and TV anymore. So that happened about right when I was kind of getting out of high school. And so in the back of my head over the last 10 years, I've always thought that if we can build that infrastructure, if we can have a physical space, then there's no reason we can't bring film and television back to San Diego. So, it's been an idea in my head for quite a while. I happened to get connected with the mayor of Chula Vista in the summer of 2023, so almost exactly 2 years ago. Pitched him my idea. And now 2 years later, after working with the city all of last year, getting our city council approval in December of 2024, now we're here in the summer of 2025 and making really great progress on CVEC. So
that's awesome. I never even knew there was a film studio in San Diego. It's so funny because I always would think about that, about how San Diego has the landscape, it has everything so within driving distance. It's less congested than LA is.
We've always talked about that. Where San Diego is a perfect area. I feel like we've talked about reality TV.
Reality TV is what we were really focused on. We're surprised they don't have more reality shows here that film in San Diego, but in movies and stuff too. It's just a great place to have it, especially since we are so close to LA as well. So all the big actors and everything are only about a 2-hour drive away.
Oh yeah, that's one of our big pitches. You're touching right on it.
Exactly. So and all your producers, all the production companies are right there. It's right in LA, so it's easy. So it's easier for them to get here than take a plane. You know what I'm saying? So once you got this idea going, how has it been from the community? How have people been perceiving this idea?
We are so grateful for all the support we've had. Such incredibly strong support, both from creatives in Chula Vista and the South Bay community, but also just the larger San Diego creative community. I mean, I've also been a part of this community for 10 years now, roughly 11 years. And I've always known that there is such talent in San Diego. And the harder part has been the opportunities. Right. Most of the opportunities had been in LA, and then over the last 5 or 6 years, those opportunities have even kind of moved out of California, right? They've been more in New Mexico or in Georgia or New Jersey. So I really want to be able to give those opportunities back to all the incredible creatives that are in this town. And, I've heard one of the coolest things is after we've kind of been announcing, and all of the early press we got were when people would reach out to me who had moved away, but were from San Diego, and were saying, "Oh, I can't wait to hopefully be able to come back and actually work in my hometown." And they moved away because they felt they had to for their career, but hopefully we can provide those opportunities not just for people that are still here, but for the folks who felt they had to move away from their hometown, didn't want to, and can come back.
Exactly. Right. I think it's amazing that you're able to do this and you got everything going. It's in production. How is it coming along? The launch or the open house is August 2nd, right? That's when it starts?
Yeah, so we're calling it an open house. It still is, but the building just got out of construction.
Okay.
So it's basically an empty shell.
Okay.
But what we want to do is bring everybody to the 2 floors. So we're talking about our phase 1 project. which is in the Millennia area of Chula Vista. It's going in what's called the Millennia building. The first 2 floors are the new Chula Vista Public Library, and we're taking over the top 2 floors. So on the 3rd floor that's really where there's like this, what we're calling kind of the creative co-worker, this creator space, that we're gonna fill that floor. It's about 37,000 square feet, just with amenities for creatives. So podcast studios, some like LED walls for photo video production, smaller photography studios, edit bays, places where you can just have meetings. And really the idea is we want that to be the hub where, one, not only we're gonna have our educational and training programs out of, but 2, any creator, small agency owner, even a small business owner who knows they need to do media will be able to come into that space and have access to facilities that would normally be a little out of their price range if they were gonna go and just build it themselves, right?
Right.
And so our idea, and we're gonna be operating our nonprofit out of that space, so we're gonna be able to keep pricing really competitive, and you'll basically be able to either have like a monthly membership, or you can pay kind of like on a day pass type of thing. And so we're bringing people out to the open house, and we're gonna like kind of line the floors and like tape kind of like, so everyone can kind of visualize like, oh, this will be studio 1, this will be the podcast studio 2. We want everybody to walk around, and really at the same time, we're trying to kind of test our layout with the community, right? The idea is like, we want to bring everybody there before we've actually built anything and go, hey, does this look good? Does this feel good? Does this sound good? Does this studio seem big enough? Do we have enough podcast rooms? Do we have too many podcast rooms?
Right.
Do we, right? Because what I've been saying the last couple months is it doesn't do us any good to build out this whole space if it's not in line with the needs of the community, right?
Right.
Like, so that's one of the big pieces for the open house for us. We're also bringing out our entire advisory board, all of our leadership team, because not everybody is based here in San Diego. And we just want to get everybody to know the whole team, know who's behind this.
Right.
So that's kind of the short term. On the longer term, we're hoping that phase 1 is open in about a year from now. So we're going to be able to start moving in and do the tenant improvements and kind of building out the space this year. And then phase 2, which are kind of the sound stages, the Hollywood, production stages across the street, we're hoping that's done roughly about 2 years from now. So it should follow about a year behind phase 1.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you're like keeping everyone in line with everything, that the whole process of building the studio, so they feel like they're a part of it. Like they can feel like, I went to go see it when it was just like, a little shell, and now look at how it is and look at how it's grown. People love being a part of the process. And I love that you're involving the community and helping small businesses, because it shows that you're giving back to the San Diego community. You know what I'm saying?
I also love the idea that doing like kind of like a monthly subscription for like people who probably needs to use that space monthly, because it's hard to find creative spaces that you can go and use without having to pay like an arm and a leg for. So that's really cool that you're giving people those opportunities to use that space like consistently.
Yeah, that's really what's gonna, I'm partly trying to design the space in mind of like, what could I have used when I just started, right? Like 10 years ago, if I had access to something like this, what would that have been, and how would that have helped me? And then obviously, I'm gut checking it with the community, right? Making sure that I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
But it seems like we are so far, and I'm excited to have everyone out at the open house. So
Yeah. So where did your love for entertainment start? I know you said your dad was in the industry, but when did you really decide, like, I want to do this, I want to get into this, I want to become like a creator myself?
Yeah, it has always kind of been a lifelong passion, or maybe it started out more as a hobby. It is interesting when you have family that are in the industry. It kind of takes a little bit of that like facade away, right? Like, I'm just growing up watching TV, and my dad's like, I made that commercial, or my dad's commenting on like, I could have made that commercial better, right?
Yeah.
Like, so like I'm at a young age, I'm understanding like some of what goes into like production, and that it's, again, it's not real, quote unquote, and whatever. But my dad definitely got me into a love of movies, or early on. I'll always remember when he showed me Star Wars for the first time, right? Like such a, it's such like, it really launches your creativity, I think, as a kid, and the whole world and galaxy and all that. I was definitely, again, all throughout probably junior high and high school, whenever my friends and I would make short films, or if there was like a school project where instead of writing an essay, you could make a short movie or something.
Yeah.
I was always like with my group of like, let's just do the movie thing because I can do that. That's really easy, guys.
Right.
But it wasn't really until I actually really wanted to be a professional baseball player for quite a while, and I was big into like travel baseball, and I played in high school for a little bit, and then I got injured, and kind of had to like sort of shape my life in high school, sort of what am I actually going to do, because I did kind of always think of film and TV more as like it was like a hobby for me in a way. It was like, oh yeah, my dad does that, I want to do this. It's something that's fun. It's something I can do. But when I kind of got out of high school, I sort of started my very first company about a year after high school called Blue Vision Entertainment. And it really was a precursor to everything we're doing right now. I was in a band at that time, and also was kind of getting back into doing the film and photography stuff. And we had a small space out in Escondido where it was a blank canvas, and we sort of turned it into a little recording studio for music, and then we would hold, auditions and acting stuff kind of in the bigger room that was, on the same level. We were basically above this dance studio. They had this second story space that they sort of just used for storage. And someone on my team who I went to high school with, her mom was like a part of the dance studio. And that was really the first kind of time I had the idea that I know all these different artists, right? I know graphic designers and photographers and people who do video, and I know musicians, and we all sort of need each other in a way, right? Like we can all feed on each other. The band needs photography. They need a music video. The person who's making short films needs music for their short films, right? They all need graphic designers and people who build websites, right? So for me, it was really the idea that that was kind of the first idea without knowing really how to run a business or how to really bring people together. But we kind of started that company in mind of like, well, let's all sort of work together and be like a collective of sorts and see what happens. So that was really what kind of got me, I think, into the industry, so to speak, was sort of like that idea, which failed, which didn't really work as intended.
Yeah,
but when you're
always.
19, 20 years old, that's what's going to happen, right? But that did kind of lead me down the path of like, okay, I think I'm going to do this full time. I think I'm going to, go start working in the industry more. I asked my dad at that point, all right, hey, start bringing me onto your film sets, or call your buddies who can let me be a production assistant so I can start learning what to do.
It's really cool that you had like that opportunity too, because you said like it was kind of more of a hobby before it became something you're like, okay, I want to do this like for a career. Because a lot of people, I feel like, don't get that type of connection where they're like going on sets and doing things like that. Like I guess like us being from the Midwest, like that's very like rare. That's not common. So the fact that you had that type of connection, it showed that, this is attainable. This is something that I can actually do for a career. You don't have to, go through a competition show or something to, get where you want to be. So it's really cool that you had that.
Yeah, and that is so, again, like what the biggest thing that I tell people that really actually excites me most about CVEC, and there's a lot of stuff that is exciting, and obviously building film studios and making movies and all that, but we are really focused on the workforce development and on the educational stuff, because being able to one, just train everybody, obviously, so once we are fully open in phase 2 and we are working on multiple movies at a time, we have enough of a crew base. But entertainment is generally, it's pretty well-paying jobs. Like you can make a good living in entertainment, working behind the camera, working as a part of 30, 40, 50 people on a film set, sometimes even more on a film set if it's big enough, right? But a lot of people just don't know about that, to what your point is, right? And so yes, I was sort of, I had that leg up or that step up because it was just sort of in my growing up, and we really want to be able to take that and go to as early as a junior high or someone in high school and say, most people see film as sort of two things. I'm either going to be the actor in front of the camera, or I'm going to be like the writer or director behind the camera. Right. When the truth is, there are, again, so many more roles that can also fit a wide variety of people. Because some people just don't want to be in front of the camera and they don't want to write. okay, but like, are you good at managing people? Are you good at making a schedule? Are you good at finances? Are you good at, like, there's so many different skill sets that film sets need, right? And I think trying to like pull back that curtain, like you're saying, is really one of the things that we're trying to do with the community and with our education, and really, again, starting that from a younger age, even so folks can see that they have those opportunities,
Right.
in you know, in that kind of formative years. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
and
I
I
love
like-
that. I
yeah,
love
I
that
like that
you're
you brought-
providing that, because even at younger ages, like there's kids that are in love with like movies, TV shows, and they're like, man, like I would love to be a part of that, but how is that possible? Because people, there's probably like parents or people around them telling them, yeah, I don't know if that's gonna be possible. Like they can be supportive,
Yeah.
but they're like, I
even
don't
my
know.
parents didn't want me to do this at first,
Right.
and I came from it. Like that was part of the reason why I think early on it was sort of a hobby, because my mom was always like, you gotta go to college, go be a lawyer, go do
Yeah.
something, right? And I as I got older, I understood it. I mean, my dad had, running his own business, he had times where they struggled, right? Like it wasn't always just like, to the moon and easy. So I understood, and it's a hard industry.
Yeah.
Like
It
that's the
is.
other thing. Like I tell people this all the time, especially when younger people ask for advice, or they want to get a coffee with me or whatever. I almost always start the meeting, and maybe it's too harsh, but I start the meeting saying like, is this something you really want to do? Okay, they say yes. I say, all right, this is going to be the hardest thing you've ever tried to do in your life. Full stop. And
There's a lot.
if you're
Yeah.
not ready to put in that work and deal with that, maybe find something else to do.
Right.
Right.
There's a
Exactly.
lot of no's you have to get past.
So many.
And that's what I think
So
we
many.
learned, is because, when you're like young and you get into it and you're like, okay, like this is something I want to do, you have to learn to get past the no's and understand your self-worth.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, is like knowing like, okay, this was a no, but that doesn't mean that I'm done.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
getting past that, getting over it, and being like, okay, so how am I going to come back stronger? How am I going to change up my game and come back to where I'm undeniable? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so it's like you have to have a high self-worth, and that's what we learned, because we came into it a little more timid, a little more, I don't know, kind of like stepping our feet in, and then we're like, okay, no, we have to be a little
so
more.
like listening to the people around us who don't know anything
Yeah.
about like
Yeah.
entertainment or anything, and they're like, well, this is what I think, and this is that. We're like, oh yeah, okay, but now we are just kind of like, if we're passionate about it and we believe in what we're doing, we're gonna put it out there, and that's that. Like, if you don't like it, I guess, well, maybe go
Somebody
somewhere
will.
else.
Somebody will. And it's like your passion shows through, and even your passion with this Chula Vista Entertainment Center, and your passion with bringing the entertainment industry down to San Diego or back to San Diego, you could just tell the passion in your
Thank
voice.
you.
Like I was
Yes.
listening to one of your interviews, and I was like, wow, like you're so passionate, and I love that, because it's like you have that passion and that drive for film, and you just want to create good things. It's like good movies, good shows, have good podcasts, and help people along the way, which is really important, because like us being like an independent podcast, like it excites us that you're having these like podcast studios and available for like local creators, like, so it's just something that I feel like people are going to be really excited about, as it progressively grows. I think it's going to really draw a lot of media attention. And I think from word of mouth and from, just people covering it on stories, I think that it's really going to do well for our community and for San Diego as a whole, because it just always, like I said, baffled us. We're like, why don't they film more here? We have so many beautiful places, and LA's so congested. I used to love LA, and now I don't really love going to LA anymore.
No, I mean,
There's just a lot.
I feel the same. It's I tell people, like, I don't care how it sounds. I mainly didn't. When I got the pressure to move to LA early on, like, from my own dad, my dad's like, I know what you want to do. Why are you here?
Right.
And to some extent he wasn't wrong. It's not like there are a ton of opportunities here. I've had to create my own opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And but I always told people, like, the biggest reason I didn't want to move to LA is because of the traffic. And like, I don't care how that sounds, but it's like, we have one life to live. Why live it spending in traffic? And it's not just Monday through Friday traffic. It's Sunday night at 8 p.m. traffic. And that's where I'm just like, and I know coming from Chicago, as you two know, it's also not the best city for traffic sometimes.
I
but it's
lived in
like,
LA briefly when I was young, like 19, 20, and it made me an aggressive driver.
I'm sure.
I was like, I've never driven like this in my life. And then I came back, I moved back home again, and I was like driving. My friends are in the car with me. They're like, wow, like, how are you doing that? Like, I'd be so scared. I'm like, listen, I just lived in LA.
That's really funny. That's
like
really funny.
temporarily, and I'm already pretty strong driving in the car now.
Yeah.
So, but it's
great.
just funny because like I feel like Chicago also has bad traffic
yeah.
as well,
do.
but not as bad as LA. So I'm like, let's go. Like, I
yeah,
can do this.
Yeah. It's bad. But yeah, so what is one of like your main goals, like ultimate goals with this Chula Vista Entertainment Center? Like, what do you want to accomplish from this, I would say?
I mean, there's so much, right? I mean, obviously, just to what we've already talked about, the community goals, fostering that community. You know, we held monthly meetups from January through April, kind of around the county. Started in Chula Vista, went to Central San Diego, went to North County. And really, one of the things that we would hear from those meetups, besides folks obviously coming out to learn about what we're doing, was how much they actually just enjoyed the networking piece. Just the like, oh, I'm in a room with 100, 200 other creatives, and I'm meeting these people, and now we're gonna go maybe write a script together, or we're gonna go work on a project together, right? So just on a base level, better tying that community. Like I think San Diego runs in a lot of small concentric circles, but they're small. It's like, oh, a group of 20, 30 people here, and then they kind of have an overlap here and overlap here. But we're so much stronger if there's going to be a lot bigger structure that really gets us all talking and working together. So that's one. Obviously, the other big goal is to actually bring film and television back here, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I think it starts with the community. That's partly why we're kind of going phase one and then phase two. It starts with making that community strong, filling the education gaps for where they might need to be, and then really building the infrastructure for Hollywood to be able to make film and TV here, make this a hub, right? And that's why we're doing so much work on film incentives at the state level, at the city level, at the county level, because that's what really drives film production now. And that's what really created New Mexico and Georgia as a hot spot where all these film incentives that the state governments and local governments offered, which, you know, basically give producers money back to make their movie in New Mexico or in Georgia.
Right.
And so California for the last 10 to 15 years has sort of kind of taken that for granted, especially at the state level. And obviously the city and county of San Diego haven't done anything. And we are really pushing for that, because once we have the physical infrastructure, once we have the workforce, and then if you stack the incentives on top of it, we're really going to be an incredibly competitive and great place to film. When you also throw in all the other intangibles you've talked about, right? Like you can get any type of look within a 30 to 40 minute drive, basically. Like you have mountains, beach, desert, city, suburbs, like, you know, there's really nothing, even like kind of rural, if you're like up in Ramona in a way, right? Like there's really nothing you can't accomplish inside the county. And then the proximity to LA is really important, because we've heard from folks on my executive board. They know the conversations that producers are having with A-list talent in LA, and they are kind of tired of traveling to Vancouver, Canada for 3 months away from their families, or even New Mexico or Atlanta or in the UK for 2-3 months away from their families. And what we offer being in San Diego is the ability to go home potentially at night to see your family, right?
Yes,
Right.
Like, or at the
exactly.
very least on the weekends, right? Like, or bring your family down because it's only a 2-hour drive, right? So like that is such a strong intangible that no other city besides just Los Angeles really can actually have. So, you know, I think all of those is really going to help us, one, build that strong community, and two, build an actual industry back in town.
I think that's brilliant, honestly. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we're in a time where the movie industry is kind of at a boom because of there's platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime, and then you have your big studios, and they're all competing, like Hulu, they're all making their own like independent films to try and get more subscribers. Is that kind of where things stand?
Yeah, I
or
mean,
is that...
it's I think the biggest thing right now is it's been hard to get movies financed, and it's a lot of this stuff is like kind of the post-COVID effects of these studios not wanting to spend money, and like all these streamers have these like crazy budgets that they're doing, and
Yeah.
it's like, is Netflix really making billions of dollars a year to pay back their shareholders and blah blah blah. In general, I agree with your statement, though, that I think there is still a ton of untapped opportunity for this, especially because those streamers do constantly need content. So the harder part has been the streamers haven't been wanting to pay to make new content, but they are paying to acquire content that's already made. So what we really want to help do is kind of provide that almost a new business model, so to speak, of film and television, of an ability to get something independently made for a reasonable budget, still having some known actors at the top. It's going to be really high in production quality, and then being able to either sell that back to a major streamer or just distribute it independently. There's so many options of independent distribution, just from literally selling it yourself on a website and knowing how to do the digital marketing to bring your audience in there. YouTube, I think one of our biggest things is we feel that Hollywood has really dropped the ball on marketing.
Yes.
Like over the last, at least over like kind of the social media age, Hollywood doesn't really know how to utilize digital marketing, grassroots social media marketing well. Every once in a while, there's a movie that does, but by and large, they don't know how to do that.
Right.
And that's why they're having trouble with like original IP. That's why everything's a remake, because like, well, I don't have to advertise the 17th Marvel movie because everybody knows Marvel movies and they're just going to come in and see it. I don't have to advertise a remake of a movie in the 80s because everybody will go, oh yeah, I remember that movie. I'll go see it again.
There's kind of backlash now.
Oh, of
I
course.
think there's so much
Yeah.
backlash for like even by how bad Snow White did in the box office. There's a demand for original content.
Yep.
People want, like, you look back at like the 2000s and you have
Yeah.
all these
Independent
booming,
movies,
like
yeah.
things that became so successful.
Yep.
You know, like just off the top of my head, like I'm thinking of all like animated for some reason, but like you had like Shrek, like Madagascar, like all these things that became like iconic series, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yep.
But you don't really see that now. It's all like they're just like clinging on to this like Disney live action remakes or like, what is it? Like Mission Impossible like 11 at this point. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Fast
like,
and the Furious 19,
it's like, I look at and I love going to the movies,
Yeah.
like we are huge moviegoers, but it's like there's sometimes where I look at the lineup for the movies this year and I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
And the last movie I really feel like that really hit it on the head was Barbie. That really, or maybe Wicked too, that really got people back to the theater. And I think that's what people want. I think people miss those movie nights, but they need something to seem good enough to go out to the movies.
No, and I think that was like that summer was Barbie and Oppenheimer, and what were they both? I mean, Barbie is based off of a kind of an IP people know, but still it was a very original like way to make a movie about Barbie that I don't think any of us, like if you asked us 10 years ago what would a movie about Barbie be, I don't think any of us would have pitched what that movie is, right? And Oppenheimer is Nolan telling kind of an original story of a way. Yes, again, it's historically based, but or I look at Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? That was I think the year before, but it was such an original premise and from new voices, right? Like another thing. And I think that there is, again, so much untapped stories, untapped original IP that I do think that all it takes are for really an ability to get those stories out there and to get them made. And that's the hardest part right now is getting something made. And we really hope to be a part of the solution to that, because I think once we can start flooding the market, so to speak, with really solid, what we've been saying, real stories from real people. And if we start telling those stories again at a high level, they're going to connect. They're going to cut through the noise. I mean, we're going to have to do some marketing about it. We're going to have to, be telling the story of the movie while we're in production. And I think that's the biggest thing that Hollywood fails at is it's like if you're in Hollywood and if you've ever been on a set, it's like you're signing 10 NDAs. It's like you can't tell anybody about it. You can't post a picture. Nobody can know what we're doing. It's like, why? What, like you're making a movie. You should be talking about it the 3 to 6 months you're in production. You should then be talking about it when you're in post-production. You should be building your audience before your movie's out. The idea that okay, our movie comes out next month, we're going to release a trailer and build up the entire audience we need in 1 month.
But if they
You're
were filming like
crazy.
little TikToks
Of course,
behind the scenes
or doing
and getting
podcasts
people,
during the
yeah.
movie, like that's like when I get I've got a movie I've been trying to make for a while. We're hopefully going to get into production this year, and I'm like I'm going to do podcasts with the cast and the crew on set, because then I have a 20, 30, 40-minute episode with someone that can be clipped up into 10 to 20 different clips, and I'm going to collab those posts with my actors or with my crew, and I'm going to build, that's the first part I'm going to build my audience from, right?
Right.
And then you can just kind of spread out from there, from ads, from trending stuff, from having, really, again, building that before the movie's out. You need to have that kind of groundswell of support, and I think that will really change hopefully the success that independent movies can start to have again.
Yeah, a lot of people, especially like on social media nowadays, like the new generation, they love to be a part of the process.
Yeah,
100%.
They
pulling back that curtain,
want
right?
to being a part of the creative process, because back maybe like 5-7 years ago, it'd be like something's coming soon,
Yeah.
stay tuned, and that was. People liked that. People liked the mystery, but now, things are always changing with, marketing and social media and trends and things that are going on, and people like to be a part of the process. They want to be behind the curtain with you, trying to figure out, oh my gosh, this is what they're doing. And then when it comes out, and it kind of feels like you were a part of the process. Even if you
1000%.
weren't, you're watching the process being made.
Yeah, and I think it's really... bringing people along and making them fall in love with your story and feel a part of it. And then when you're doing your call to action of like, hey, have you enjoyed the process? Great. Now we need you to go and spend $15 and go see this in theaters, or we need you to buy it direct from our website. If you want to see more like this, we're going to need your support. But I feel like they're going to be so much more willing to give that support if they've felt like they're a part of the process, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, the idea that attention spans are so relatively short and social media is constantly changing, and the idea that, well, I'm just going to market my movie 1 month before it comes out, and the idea that you would retain enough attention, you better have a really damn good marketing plan if you're only going to go 1 month before your thing release and you expect to make enough noise to actually break through.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, okay, 1 month. Okay, I'll just go, I'll see it in a month, or maybe I'll just wait till it's streaming. I don't know if I'm into it.
Yeah.
If there's a trailer or something, you're like, oh, that, it seems okay, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I need to jump and go see it at the movie. But when you're going through that process, you're creating that, emotional attachment to the creative process. So when it's about to be coming out, you're like, I need to get my tickets. I was a part of this in some shape or form to some capacity. It's like, I want to be a part of this when it comes out.
And it's such an interesting and innovative idea to market that I feel like it's going to pick up mainstream attention, because local news organizations are going to be like, wow, look at how this production company is marketing their movie. How interesting, how it's so different, why isn't Hollywood doing this? And that's why, you were saying, people are the industry's moving elsewhere, because I think Hollywood is stuck in their ways. They have their feet planted and they're afraid to step forward, and you have to be constantly evolving. It's an industry that always evolves, especially with the use of AI and TikTok, social media, social platforms, attention spans. You have to change up your marketing strategies, or else you're not going to get the results you're looking for. As much as we'd like to just put out trailers and it's easy and simple, come to the theater, come see this. It's not how it works anymore. It's not the same. So we're going to wrap up, but this was such a good conversation. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Of course. Thanks
we
for
have
having me.
one final question we ask everyone, because we are a San Diego podcast.
Right.
So I know this is a hard question, but what's your favorite place to visit in San Diego? Could be a restaurant, a beach, an establishment, somewhere that you'd want to shout out.
I give the example, if you have a day off, you have absolutely nothing to do, you wake up, something that you maybe been wanting to do, or something you're it's your favorite thing to do.
Man, one thing is
I know,
tough.
it's crazy.
It could be a top 3 too, if
I
it's
love
easier.
so many things. Well, yeah, I mean, I would say if I'm getting coffee, I'm going to Mostra Coffee.
Okay.
Mostra Coffee is by far my favorite. So if I'm usually starting my day with coffee. I would say probably it's there are two different like beaches that I really love, but I would probably go. I really love just the Carlsbad area. It is like I'm a North County boy growing up, so I spent a lot of time there, which might be some of it. But like the beaches are nice, they're walkable. You know, like some of the like La Jolla and Torrey Pines don't have as much place to walk, right?
Right.
And then there's also that whole Carlsbad Village and lots of restaurants, and then there's stuff to do over there. So like a day at Carlsbad at the beach with my wife after we got some coffee is, you know, like a pretty prototypical San Diego day, but I'd love it. And then if I'm throwing a third in there, you know, then maybe like going to see a Padre game at night. You know, if it's in baseball, you know, baseball season, right? Like Petco's amazing. I'm also a big baseball fan, but even if you're not now, like the stadium's just rocking and it's fun and there's good food and good beer, and it's just a good time. So, you know, that's kind of like, I guess, probably a prototypical San Diego
That'd be
day,
your day.
I'd say.
Carlsbad at the beach with your coffee, and then at night you're going to the Padre game. That's the perfect day off for you.
I was like, that sounds like a perfect day.
That sounds pretty fun.
amazing,
I need
right?
one of those days soon. That sounds
Literally.
pretty fun.
But this was so exciting to hear your journey and the journey with this Chula Vista Entertainment Center, and we're so excited. We'll be there on August 2nd.
Yes.
We
Love it.
have our spots reserved,
Great.
so we're so excited. And thank you so much again for coming on. This was amazing.
Of course, you're very welcome.